Up, enjoyed a little bit of music as we get ready.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
And there we have it. It is time to get this show started and on the road. All right, let's start with the fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress plugins A to Z, not Z.
It's episode number 6 of WP Plugins A to Z Unplugged. WordPress, the king of content management systems, powering the web with over 80,000 plugins to choose from. How do you sort the junk from the gems? Welcome to WP Plugins A to Z, where we've been keeping the pulse of WordPress alive for over 16 incredible years. Join us every week for an unrehearsed, real talk breakdowns of the latest and greatest plugins, developer and community member interviews. Some weeks, Amber and I team up to dig in. Others, I'm flying solo, unpacking WordPress news, demoing a standout plugin, or sharing tips to power up your site. No scripts, no fluff, just the good stuff from A to Z. So plug in and let's get rolling. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the brewery overlook in beautiful, rainy, damp Vancouver Island. It has been raining for 2 days, it seems. Maybe a week. I don't know. My dog loves it, though. He's like, yeah, let's go out in the rain. He's like, no. He's like, yeah, into the rain we go. All right, so we've got all kinds of wonderful stuff here. This was not the show I had prepared for originally, but we're using all the content that I had prepared for doing the show with Amber. Since she's not here, she is otherwise occupied today, so she will be back in 2 weeks for a show. And actually, the one in 2 weeks' time will be pre-recorded, because we always pre-record our Christmas and our New Year's show. So those will just be released onto YouTube at that time and onto our podcast feed at that time, because we're going to take some holidays off and enjoy ourselves. And they're usually a year wrap up for the Christmas and a what's in store for the new year in our New Year's show. All of that being said, we're going to sit here and I'm going to talk to you. I've got a few things today, a couple of things to take us into different directions and open up my mind. Hit foggy and raining for you. Nice to see that, Ryan. 39. That's somewhere around our temperature here, which is about 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. All right. Anyway, I've got a little bit here further to the discussion I had last week, which generated a whole lot of comments from those that were here on the live stream, and it turned into a very long Twitter thread, which I thought was kind of cool, is that we had a, excuse me, half sec. The problem of being alone is I have to mute when I get one of those little coughing fits. All right, so let's get it generated a big long Twitter thread, and I was talking about the pricing in and around Black Friday. What I found even more interesting, though, aside from what the generated, is that James Wells over there on Twitter actually got it kicked off to new customers and whatnot, but it turned into a discussion around pricing models for plugins. And it's a very interesting thread to follow through and go check out. The links are all in the show notes for everything I've got today. And I thought it was interesting as we were talking about, and I think it was, Steve Jones, who was talking about the way he does his sales and the way he does his renewals. Vinny McKay was talking about, how he offered it for his customers. And he ended up, by the end of the discussion, he ended up possibly rethinking his pricing model. So it's a very interesting discussion, one that I thought would help further and help plugin developers that are currently selling their plugins, trying to find the right pricing model. This is something that I've seen over my 16 years of doing this, back from the day when there was like a handful of premium price plugins and everybody thought they were like, what are they doing? The WordPress is supposed to be free. No, free doesn't mean free, folks. Free, that's a hard one to explain as what free means in the WordPress world. There's too many people that think it means everybody's got to build and do stuff for no cost, but that's not how it works. Everyone has to live. Everyone needs a roof over their head. They need food in their bellies. They need power, water, electricity, all those miscellaneous things that come with just existing on a day-to-day basis. So anyway, the plugins that started off with the premium pricing model, some of them did very, very well. A lot of them set lifetime licenses, and they ended up hurting themselves over the long term. Some of them had low prices, and they started raising them as time went along. And right now, people are still trying to find a model that works to help them get everything working the way it needs to work. Anyway, this is a really good discussion, and it's something to check out. Now, what I've got here next is couple of plugins. These are the plugins I would have reviewed on my normal show today. And the interesting component about this one here, I'm going to be talking about FluentCart. Now, FluentCart, it is a great plugin. It works really quite well as far as, let's go to this one here. You get the free version over at WordPress.org. And the free version gives you all the basics you need for a store. Now, I had read a lot about this. I'd done some initial testings when it was in beta, and then I left it for many months and left it to the side because there's a lot of promise in FluentCart. The setup is very easy. The functionality of it was very, very good. And I did run into some problems, though, because what I'm looking to do eventually is I have a couple of WooCommerce stores I want to convert, mainly because we pay an arm and a leg for extra plugins that are part of the package of FluentCart, things such as membership and subscriptions. It's built into the FluentCart Pro, not in the free version, but in the Pro version. Also, in the Pro version, it comes with built into its pricing structure. It comes with a licensing protocol. So if you're going to sell plugins or something else that require licensing, your licensing is built into your store for you, and it manages to check to make sure it's a valid license to activate or deactivate the software. So I thought that was a very useful function. But I did find out when I tried to convert, and well, I actually converted it, but I was converting a small store. It just had a handful of products, literally a handful, 5 products in it. And it didn't have anything special in it. But as I'm converting it, I'm thinking about the other ones I want to do. I realized, wait, it doesn't quite do this yet. And then you look at their roadmap for this. Well, a lot of these things are in their roadmap. The other problem I ran into is because I build an Elementor, they are not fully integrated into Elementor. They had that in the beta, but they pulled it when they went live with it, and they're reworking all of that stuff. So they're bringing it back. But on the whole, I have found it to be very nice. It's fairly lightweight. It performs way faster than WooCommerce does on this one small store that I'm converting over, and I'll be launching in about a week or two. But once you go through it, now there's also a few other, can't remember the precise there's a couple of other little tweaks even for a small store that just weren't quite there for what I want, but are, well, I shouldn't say not quite there. They're just adequate for what I want. So I'm looking forward to when this grows up. The plugin's still got a long way to go. I mean, it is brand new to the WordPress ecosystem, and they've got a lot of things to play catch up to and develop, but they are moving along at a very rapid pace. So on the whole, fantastic plugin. Go check it out. It's the Fluent Cart plugin, and I'm using the Pro version, so I get to rate it with the Pro version. I'll give it a 5 dragon rating. There we go. The free version, it probably would get a 4.5 or something, but I don't get 0.5s, so it gets a 4 because, Pro version, free versions, they also often lose a point if they got a Pro version that steps it up significantly, which is what Fluent Cart does. Now, because this is the end of the year, I always like to do a little nostalgia back for when WP Plugins A to Z started. For those of you that want to go hunt it down, you can find it over at johnoverall.com's website, my original website that I built all this on. And you can find the original, how long was that? I think it was like a 3-minute podcast. 4-minute, the original 4-minute podcast. I'm not going to play it back. But this one here was just the intro. The actual first show was episode number 2, where I had this delusion way back when I first started this in 2010. October 25th, 2010 was when this show went live. So I guess it's been just over 15 and a half years. So I had this delusion that I was going to cover plugins across the alphabet. But of course, back in 2010, there were only 9,000 plugins in the WordPress repository. And that's changed. So if you want to see some really interesting nostalgia, go check it out. This would be kind of a cool thing to do and see what we've got. All right. Couple other short pieces, and then I'll come back around to the next plugin I've got. Got an article from RadReb Hosting. You can find him on X. The link to him is here in the show notes. But he put out a blog post, a very full, detailed post comparing Wix. Oh, go away. We're not going to chat right now. Comparing Wix, WooCommerce, Squarespace, Shopify, and GoDaddy. Actually, it's just WordPress. He's not comparing the stores. He's comparing the development of the site and what you get from each one, what the ownership is, the underlying code, the potential for vendor lock-in, which is a really good one for people to know when they're choosing where they're going to go build, customization and flexibility. How flexible are these other systems when you need to be flexible and expand out somewhere to scalability and the long-term viability of your website. In other words, what happens when you actually start to grow, if you start to grow and you need to expand out? I know from my experience of pulling people off of Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, GoDaddy, and putting them into WordPress. Well, Shopify is relatively easy to yank them off now. Wix, you have to rebuild every single page. There's no real easy way to get your content from there. Squarespace, similar. GoDaddy, yeah. Where is it, Dave? Yeah, they've got it here. Nope, he doesn't have it here. Customization, flexibility, doesn't have the pulling them off and expanding on them. So at any rate, it's a really good article, one to go check out and get a catch on what's happening and how things, how to help protect your clients in times of trouble. Let's clean up that mess. Okay. Another cool item I found here while searching around. Come on. There it goes. I found this website called wpgems.com for the Gems project. This is where he is hunting down underrated plugins and posting about them. High quality, underrated plugins. And he's given a list of all of them. You know, he's putting out posts and showing 12 plugins each post that he thinks are good and very helpful, that are underrated, have very few active installs, but have very high ratings on them. So these are interesting to look at. He's got an archive here of his past posts. He's been posting these up here since November, beginning of November, and he's been posting them out quite regularly. Must be doing some automation in here because that's a lot of time to do that daily. Got to be doing some automation in here. So at any rate, it's a very interesting read, and there's some very interesting plugins. Search filters, merchandising for WooCommerce, 5-star restaurant reviews, code manager, write, test, and deploy PHP, blocks from the WordPress dashboard, Beetle tracking, Cloudflare, Zara for WordPress. Not even sure what that is, but just some really interesting plugin names. And this might be something to look at. And as you can see, like a lot of them have active installs, 800, 100, 200, 1,000. They're not very well installed, but yet they've got 4 and 5, 4.5, 4.7, 4.9, 5.0 ratings with 12 reviews. 18 reviews, 169 reviews and a 4.6 rating. That's pretty damn good. So on the whole, what it gets you is something that could be useful for your website. What he needs on this site here is a filter for what he's got pulled up to sort of search by the things instead of having to go day by day and seeing what plugins are there. At any rate, something that could be very useful. And speaking of things that are useful, here we are on the second plugin I was going to be talking about today. And this one here, I tripped across this simply due out of necessity. Mainly because I didn't feel like writing a bunch of htaccess redirects. It's called Enable Cores. And for those that aren't overly aware what cores are, this is, come on, break it out for me. I can't remember the acronym. Cross-origin something site. Cross-origin content is basically what it is. And this can happen to you even if you're doing something as simple as what I was doing, where I parked a domain on top of a domain to simply use for guiding people into the website through a very specific domain. And what was happening was when they would land on that specific domain, before they if they clicked any link, they land into the primary domain on the website. This domain is only goes to this one page. But what happened is images and other items, didn't want to show up on the website because of cross-origin. I mean, it's understandable to have a good cross-origin policy to prevent content from appearing on your website from something you might have embedded or some other reasons. There's lots of reasons for helping protect your website in that aspect, but sometimes you actually need it. But what this allows you to do is set a very specific domain to allow cross-origin content. And a very simple plugin, you go install it, you set it up, you just go in there quickly, and I'm pretty sure, nope, they didn't have any screenshots for it. And then all you got to do is go add your URL to it and choose the options you want it to have access to, save it, and boom, it works like a hot damn. Saves you a ton of time, a ton of grief. Very simple plugin to use, and hey, there you go. So that's all I got on that, and I will give it a 5 Dragon rating. Okay. On to some more news, best practices, some SEO content, etc. All right, from the news is we have WP 6.9 has dropped. For those of you that haven't used it yet, you want to find out what the features are, go check out the repository and this link here that gives you the rundown on the added new features to the site and how exciting they may or may not be for you. And they've improved the editing tools and architecture for those of you using Gutenberg blocks anyway. For those of us who use the classic editor, I found it was working a little differently. I've updated 6.9 on a couple of websites, and so far so good, but then I went to create a post, and something felt off about the classic editor, but I can't put my finger on it. I'll dig deeper on that one, but there's lots of here. They've added some new blocks and some block improvements, some new and improved APIs, and some performance updates, including a performance update, which can possibly save up to a second. And that is they moved where the WP cron fires. So that we'll see how that one works coming through with the plugin as it comes on. Now, on that vein, I've got not an article, but yeah, I guess it's a bit of an article. It's from Reddit. And initially it was someone posting about having a serious CPU spike just from updating to 6.9. It took him a little while, and he came back and reposted and updated that he found the potential culprit of it, and that is an incompatibility with his Woodmart theme. So this is a potential 6.9 problem, not just with this theme, but it could be other themes or other plugins, which is one of the reasons why you got to be cautious about updating to 6.9 or updating during this time of year. If your website is critical for your business during the Christmas holiday season that we're in right now, just postpone updating your 6.9 until you get into the new year. Who knows, by then there might even be 6.9.1. So it all depends on how long it takes them to get to the bugs which are rapidly being reported, and also whether or not all the plugin developers have gone and compared and made sure their plugin is working with 6.9. So on the whole, I found this to be a very interesting one in that this was a problem. Initially, he couldn't figure it out, and then he was able to narrow it down because he manages multiple sites, and 4 of his sites were running the Woodmart theme, and those were the only 4 sites that had this problem. He hasn't reported back whether that's actually solved it, but it just gives you an idea on what you want to do. You got to be cautious when doing your WordPress major core updates. The point updates, usually no problem, but the major core updates, and if you have any websites that do them automatically, you need to turn that off, simply because while it's usually pretty good, there's going to be the occasional time where something isn't compatible. Maybe you have a oddball plugin or an a unique plugin or a customized plugin, and there's some function that it's using that has been altered in the latest core update, and you don't know about it unless you've tested it. So keep all that in mind. Now, something I discovered while randomly surfing around on other things, I found something that's coming real soon, and I told them, well, I'll talk about it. I'm not sure even who has it. I think I found it probably while digging through Reddit. Somebody was posting about it, but it's a new plugin that a fellow is developing called Hold This Product for WooCommerce. It's supposed to be a free plugin for WooCommerce, and what it's going to do, and I'm pretty sure there's other plugins out there that do that, is it locks down the product, pulls it from the inventory for a set amount of time, and if it's not bought and paid for, it releases it, pulls it from their shopping cart and puts it back in inventory. So I thought that was a pretty good item. Especially if you're selling, physical products, you need to do that, because if you happen to have a run on your physical products, you don't want it overselling on you. So anyway, keep an eye on that one. I've got the link in the show notes. Check on it from time to time. Now, here's something that I thought was fascinating, and this is a protection for WooCommerce, or not WooCommerce, for your WordPress website. And this one here is a thread by Cyber Wagier. I'm butchering the name. Sorry about that. It was talking about there's a built-in backdoor in WordPress in its auto update system. And yeah, I've sort of known about it. They've used it a couple of times over the years. It's been used. And what it's there for is to force updates in. And it can be used for forcing patches onto plugins with widespread zero-day vulnerabilities. Example, past Jetpack, Tim Thumb fixes. I remember the Tim Thumb fix. Wonder whatever happened to Tim Thumb. Interesting. At any rate, they got a nice little discussion going on about this. Now, there was some code in here. If you wanted to lock your website down for it, there was some code in here in this thread, which seems to have vanished from the thread. I guess they've updated and changed it and whatever. But it was to add 2 filters to your WP to a must-use plugin. You create a must-use plugin, and you add these 2 filters to block forced updates. And the filter 1 was to block PHP INT Max for plugins auto update, and this filter 2 was for themes auto update, doing the same thing. Now, I copied that code, stuck it here in my show notes. You'll be able to find it in the show notes afterwards, but I was looking through this thread, refreshing my memory on it, and it seems the code has been pulled from here. Not sure why. At any rate, it's a fairly good discussion, talks about it, and it is about the problem of the backdoor that does exist. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. I need some more coffee. Coffee. Okay. Let's take a break here and let's showcase a few users from X. These are people I follow and I recommend you follow. They're all small accounts and it's a good group of people. Rocket.net, go check them out. They've only got 2,300 followers and they put out a lot of good content and posts, regular articles, regular tips, links to podcasts, etc. Some really good content to write or to help keep you up to date. Go check out Ben's Right, Ben Lair WP, and again, he puts out a lot of content for different things, and he can do fart noises. That's what he says in one of his tweets. So, hey, lots of really great stuff. He's entertaining and good to follow. He's got 6,900 followers, so he's a bit bigger than most, but, still a good one. Tom Zuer, dealing with Kinsta websites and putting out content in multiple ways and talking about performance boost. Yeah. This was an interesting one he had. WooCommerce gets a significant performance boost when you jump from PHP 8.3 to 8.4 to 8.5. If you can jump into 8.5, you can get significant more requests over 8.4 or 8.3. So go check that one out. And information, if your server has 8.5 installed. 8.5 is, maybe out of beta now. I'll have to go check my servers. Next one is Marco Alameda. And he puts out different content about different things and events that are happening. And he does put out some really good content for WordPress, etc. from time to time, but his thread is full of all kinds of general information. But he's got Naked Cat plugins. Never heard of that. Follow it. Add that one to the list. Web Dadoos. So you can go find a couple more useful ones to follow just from his website alone. And then the final one I've got here. Come on. There it is. Fair.pm or fair_PM, the Fair Package Manager. And this is for the Fair project. Go check them out. They are very small right now, and they talk about the Fair project. So useful information to go help people out. Again, all the links are in the show notes. For those listening on the downloads, go check out the show notes and just scroll down through the page till you find them. All of this stuff is categorized out and easy to find. Okay. Few more articles and we'll be out of here. All right. Which ones do I want here? All right. We've got some coding tips. Here's a link to GitHub and GitHub Crash Course for Beginners. This is actually not a bad video. I went and checked it out and watched it. It's a really good one. It's made for keyboard warriors. Unfortunately, I'm not that great a typist, so I have to use the interfaces, which allow me to use a mouse and keyboard. So for those of you that are keyboard warriors and want to learn to use GitHub, this is a really great free course. It's about an hour long, hour and a half long to go through the video. And slow it down, learn what you can. I got some SEO tips and information today. Nice article here from Search Engine Land about 5 SEO content pitfalls that could be hurting your traffic. And there's some really good tips, and you'll want to go read these out and check them out, focusing on word count instead of value. That's always been standard, I thought. Always value. Value should be everything. You got to give value. Value for value. Google search ranking has hit volatility. It's almost like they dumped a core update and didn't tell anyone. It started around December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and it's continued through this week here. There's more and more articles bouncing around about that. So for those of you concerned about your SEO, check out these articles. A couple others here. This one here, generative AI is messing with search. This is a good link from SEMrush on X, and go check them out. And this is a good article here, or a good post here, talking about how generative AI is messing with it. Rolling with this is the article they've got, and that is talking about what the generative AI is doing. That's not the one I wanted. Where'd it go? overcoming. Yeah, okay, overcoming. Yeah, overcoming the AI. Yeah, overcoming the AI related traffic loss. This is the AI related traffic loss and the fact that a lot of people are getting their answers from their search in their AI overview and they're not clicking through to the web pages anymore. I know I'm guilty of that myself. So this is a good article on how you can capture some of that data by dealing with the way you rewrite stuff and what you do. So go check this article out. We got another one, some SEO advice from Al Hum. Yeah, I'm not sure what that. David Quaid. David Quaid on the thing. He's got some really good advice here for how to overcome the LLMs. And for those out there that are still on about the LLMS text file not gaining ground, well, it did gain ground and then it didn't gain ground. Google added an LLMS text to their search portal. And it was there, and then it was gone. So Google added it, took it seriously enough to add it to their portal. And then because it got discovered too soon, they took it from their portal. So my guess is that the LLMS text as a new standard that was proposed last year has been gaining ground. Even the search plugins, Rank Math, Yoast, etc., are starting to add a toggle to turn an LLMS text file on for your site, though theirs is a pretty basic LMS text file. I've got an answer for folks if they don't want to think about how to write it and to create a good one. There's a link to the plugin I've created called LMS Text for WordPress. It's actually a fork of a plugin that I found had almost everything not even almost, it had about 50% of what I wanted. I've since forked it and taken it in a new direction. It creates a fantastic LMS text file that produces a beautiful markdown document that leads to markdown pages for the LMS text. So the LMS doesn't have to read all your code if it follows this and follows it to your pages. It gets just the markdown content. Also a great way, if you want the markdown content for your pages, you can use this to get the markdown content for your pages. Free plugin, you can go grab it from my GitHub repo. I do have it available over at wppluginsa2z.com, but the GitHub repo always has the latest version. I'm still working on how to get it properly on my site. Like the plumber's pipes and the mechanic's brakes, it's the last item to get fixed is my own websites. And another article on SEO, Google again is letting people know that just because you link out to high authority websites doesn't mean you're going to gain anything from it. So, hey, don't do it. Don't do it thinking you're going to gain authority. That's not a way to gain authority for it. At any rate, good article talking about what you shouldn't do and how to do the things you should do. Okay, what do I got? Wow, the only tip of the day I've got. I need to move something into tip of the day here. Where is that? Where is that here? There we go. This needs to go into tip of the day. All right, then I can get a semi-decent tip. 2 tips of the day. First tip, if you need WordPress news, you need the latest and greatest WordPress news, go check out feedland.org. Feedland.org has the latest news up to the minute from all, I swear to God, he's got every news source for WordPress. He's got all their RSS feeds and he's feeding it into this. So it's a really great deal. Most recent articles from WordPress.com at 10 o'clock this morning, my time. He's got Content CO, WP Minute feed, the repository feed, WP Weekly feed. So WP Weekly had an article out WP Weekly had an article out this morning for the 272 winners, and then the repository feed had misconfiguration. Yeah, I want to talk about that one for a minute. I've seen that everywhere. Blaming WordPress for the morons running their website. For those that don't know, what they did is they had their budget, they put their budget stored it up on their website in the wide open to the world uploads directory. Upload year, whatever, however they have their uploads directory formatted. They stored it in their uploads directory. And what they did was, the last budget was labeled May 2025. This budget's labeled October 2025. Well, for those who are wanting to see if they can get a jump on something, because of course stuff's going to be published, uploaded to a website early so it gets published on time. I do that all the time. So basically, they go in there and go, I bet I can guess it if I go directly to the file name. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And they go, it was a misconfigured plugin. Well, it could have been. They were using a plugin to upload the content. Well, if they were using a PDF plugin that's supposed to obscure it, well, that's definitely a misconfiguration. It's not WordPress's fault or the plugin. It is the morons behind it. So anyway, that's my rant on that particular stupidity and how they blame that on them. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes, I was talking about feedland.org. Yes, feedland.org, who has the latest and greatest in WordPress news for miscellaneous things out there. The other one, because I need to give some self-promotion for all that I do for this show, and this is where I'm going to run into the value for the show, WPProA2Z.com, which is the homepage for our agency that is behind WPPluginsA2Z.com. Anyone need work? Come see us. We got a small agency here where we do consultation. Talking too fast. Consultation. Oh, I'll clean that up in post. Nobody will ever know. Consultation, web design, hosting, maintenance, SEO services, everything needed to keep your website working golden. So if you're a developer or whatnot, well, we'll have I'm getting more content on this site. This site is nowhere near the amount of content that johnoverall.com has, but johnoverall.com existed for 16 years before we moved over to this. Okay. Value for value. Yes, the value for value model. WP Plugins A to Z exists as a value for value model, meaning if you get any value out of this show whatsoever, please give some value back. That value can be as simple as telling other people that we exist. If you really want to help out, hey, email us some art. It's not hard to create art now. All the art is coming from me and Grok. I figure out the prompts, Grok creates the art. AI art is great. It's becoming standard. The other way, of course, is by donating to the show. And I promise this next week, I will put the donation page up so people can actually donate cash to the show. Other than that, if you get any value, kick us some value back. Time, talent, or treasure. That's what we're looking for. All right. A couple of last quick things. If you're looking for a really interesting plugin that could help you out, check out the Internet Archive's new WordPress plugin. This is a plugin that connects your website to the Internet Archive Wayback Machine. Now, I haven't dove into this yet to see about it, but part of the claim is if your site has ever been archived by the Wayback Machine, this could help you repair broken links. Maybe you've unplugged a page, got unpublished, somebody deleted it by accident, pick a reason. Any numerous reason will work. At any rate, it's supposed to help connect it. But the other one is it's supposed to be able to automatically take pictures of your website, thereby keeping you in the Internet Archive, which is a very useful thing. I've rebuilt websites from the Internet Archive because for whatever reason, they lost their hosting. They still had their domain. The hosting provider terminated all their files. They didn't have backups. They wanted it back online. There was a version that wasn't too old on the Internet Archive, and I was able to go in there and rebuild the content from that. Not very big websites. You'd be there forever with a very big website, but I've done it with small websites. So it is very useful, and the Internet Archive is very entertaining if you want to go see what people were doing 10, 20, 25 years ago. I'm not going to tell the domain name, but one of my first websites is archived in the Internet Archive, and it's very entertaining, including all those late 90s spinny things and graphics and crazy fonts. So at any rate, it still exists on the Internet Archive, which is always kind of cool when I remember the domain and I go, oh, let's look this up. So the Internet Archive, lots of cool, fun stuff there. Go check that one out. Now, before I get off on a final tangent here, for those of you that are going into having to buy yourself a new computer, it sucks to be buying them now. RAM has shot through the roof. Woof. There we go. RAM has shot through the roof. And I built my computer currently that I'm working on back in the spring of this year. I got 95 gigs of RAM. Cost me $200, $250, I think. I went and looked that same RAM up. It's now $1,200 for that same RAM. That's how bad it's gotten. So just a little pointer there. And my final take here before I close out the show today, just a random bitch about plugins that don't clean up after themselves. Don't have any pages for that. Just, hey, whatever. This was because I had to rebuild a website that I had built originally using the Astra theme. And I went to remove the Astra theme and all the stuff, and it left behind everything. It's tables, files, all kinds of crap. And another plugin that does it is Updraft. Leaves its mess behind. That being said, one final thing. Actually, I do have a final thing here to close it out. Go check out WP Builds podcast. Really great content there, and they have a weekly live show every Monday. And I'm going to make an effort to move that further higher up in my show. Well, it was higher in my show notes, but just how it worked out today with all of that, we're going to close it on out. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. I greatly appreciate it. That's all I've got. Take care now. Bye-bye. Actually, wait. I'm going to actually play it right today. Let's play the show closer. Here you go.
Reminders for the show. All the show notes can be found at wppluginsaToZ.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by you, the developers, because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsaToZ.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show through your favorite podcast app. You can also watch the show live on YouTube at WP Plugins A to Z. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. You can also follow the show on X at WP Plugins A to Z. John can be reached directly through the website wpproatoz.com or email him at john@wppro.ca. Amber can also be contacted through the website at wpproatoz.com or email her directly, amber@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
All right, and for those that come for the great music, here we go to close it out on YouTube.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty, that's all we got now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh no. Obviously we just lost the satellite feed. That sucks.